$13.3 billion. That is the current net worth of a man who arrived in America with $500 in his pocket, slept in a room that cost $2 a night, and took his first job washing dishes for $1.20 an hour. Not $200 an hour, not $20 an hour, $1.20. Let that settle for a moment. The same hands that scrubbed plates in a university cafeteria, callous, cold, and tired, would one day sign the paperwork to purchase a National Football League franchise for $770 million in cash. Those same hands would write a check for $300 million to buy a Premier League football club in London. And those hands would shake the hands of presidents, CEOs, and kings. This is not a fairy tale. There is no magic, there is no lottery ticket. There is no rich uncle, no inheritance, no lucky break handed down from above. This is the story of Shahid Khan, and it is perhaps the greatest financial rise in the history of modern America. Welcome to Fortune Files. Every fortune leaves a paper trail, and tonight we follow his. Part 1, Lahore 1950, the beginning. To understand where Shahid Khan ended up, you first have to understand where he began. He was born on July 18, 1950 in Lahore, Pakistan, a city of ancient mosques, crowded bazaars, and a people shaped by centuries of ambition, survival, and reinvention. His family was what you might call middle class by Pakistani standards of the time, though that word carries a very different meaning in 1950 South Asia than it does in the West today. His father, Rafiq Khan, ran a small shop that sold survey and drawing equipment. His mother, Zakia Khan, was a professor of mathematics. They were not poor, but they were not wealthy either, and Shahid grew up watching his parents work with a relentless, quiet dignity, the kind of work ethic that does not make headlines but builds character in ways that money never can. By the time Shahid was a teenager, he had a vision that stretched far beyond the streets of Lahore. He wanted to be an engineer. He wanted to go to America. And in 1967, at 16 years old, that is exactly what he did. He boarded a plane with $500, just $500. In today's money, that is roughly $4,500. Enough maybe to survive a few weeks. Not enough to build anything. Not enough to fail comfortably, just enough to begin. Part 2, America 1967, the cold welcome. The America that greeted Shahid Khan in 1967 was not the shining, open-armed nation of the posters. It was the middle of winter in Illinois, and he had arrived on one of the coldest days the state had seen in years. He made his way to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where he would study industrial engineering. But before classes, before textbooks, before any of it, he needed somewhere to sleep. His first night in America cost him $2. $2 for a room at the university YMCA, a single bed, 4 walls, a window looking out at a city he did not yet know. The next morning he needed money, not eventually, immediately. He found work washing dishes. $1.20 an hour. Standing at a sink, steam rising around him, scrubbing plates left behind by students who had no idea that the quiet young man handling their leftovers would one day be worth more than most countries' GDP. But here is what separated Shahid Khan from the thousands of international students who passed through American universities, worked modest jobs, graduated, and returned home. He was watching. He was always watching. While he washed dishes, he observed how the university food operation worked, the scheduling, the logistics, the waste, the efficiency. His engineering mind was already running calculations on everything around him. While he attended lectures, he absorbed not just engineering principles but the American way of thinking about business, bold, competitive, unsentimental, and hungry. And while he joined the Beta Theta Pi fraternity, finding community, friends, and belonging, he discovered something that would quietly plant a seed in the back of his mind for the next 30 years. American football. Sitting in that fraternity house on Saturday afternoons, watching the game with his brothers, Shahid Khan fell completely and utterly in love with the NFL. He did not just enjoy it, he dreamed about it. He told people, in the way that young men make promises they may not be able to keep, that one day, he was going to own one of those teams. The room probably laughed, or smiled politely. A Pakistani immigrant kid washing dishes for $1.20 an hour, buying an NFL franchise. Sure. Part 3, Graduation and the Garage, 1971 to 1978. In 1971, Shahid Khan graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Engineering from the Granger College of Engineering. It was not a small achievement. It was the first step. While he had been studying, he had also been working for a small local company called Flexengate Corporation, which made automotive parts. It was a modest operation, the kind of business that fills industrial estates in American mid-sized cities, humming along quietly, making components that nobody thinks about until they need them. Khan graduated and was immediately hired as the company's engineering director. He was 21 years old. For 7 years, he worked inside Flexengate. He learned the business from the inside out, the machinery, the suppliers, the customers, the margins, the inefficiencies, and he identified something that nobody else had seen. There was a better way to make a bumper. At the time, truck bumpers were being manufactured in multiple pieces, welded together, assembled, then attached to the vehicle. It was time-consuming, it was expensive, and it was, in Shahid's engineering mind, completely unnecessary. He believed he could design a one-piece bumper, a single, seamless component that would be stronger, cheaper to produce, faster to manufacture, and easier to install. It sounds simple. Most great ideas do in hindsight. In 1978, Shahid Khan left Flexengate. He had $13,000 in personal savings. He secured $50,000 from the Small Business Loan Corporation. And with $63,000, money that would not cover a luxury car today, he started his own company. He called it Bumper Works. Part 4, the invention that changed everything. The one-piece bumper was not an overnight success. Nothing real ever is. Khan worked out of a small operation, building his prototype, refining his design, trying to convince the automotive industry, an industry famous for its resistance to change, that his bumper was better than the one they had been using for decades. Auto manufacturers are not known for being easy customers. They are demanding, slow to trust, and protected by armies of procurement officials who did not get their jobs by taking risks on untested suppliers run by young Pakistani immigrants. But the bumper was simply, undeniably better. It was stronger, it was cheaper to produce, it could be changed and customized quickly, in minutes, not hours. And as the automotive industry began shifting toward the lean manufacturing principles being pioneered by Toyota in Japan, Shahid Khan's one-piece design aligned perfectly with a new era of thinking. In 1980, just 2 years after starting Bumper Works, an opportunity arrived that he had not expected. Flexengate, his former employer, the company where he had spent 7 years learning everything he could, came up for sale. Without hesitation, Shahid Khan bought it. He merged Bumper Works and Flexengate into one entity, kept the Flexengate name, and now had both his revolutionary product and a fully operational manufacturing company to produce it at scale. The paper trail of his fortune had begun. Part 5, Toyota Scale and the billion-dollar engine. In 1984, a phone call changed everything. Toyota, the Japanese automotive giant that was rapidly expanding its American manufacturing operations, needed a bumper supplier for its pickup trucks. They had heard about Flexengate. They had heard about the one-piece design. They wanted to talk. Khan drove to the meeting with the focus of a man who understood that some opportunities do not come twice. Flexengate got the contract. At first, they were supplying bumpers for a small number of Toyota pickups, but the relationship grew. By 1987, Flexengate was the sole supplier of bumpers for all Toyota pickups sold in the United States. By 1989, they were the sole supplier for the entire Toyota line in America. The entire Toyota line. Every single Toyota car sold in the United States of America had a bumper made by a company founded by a Pakistani immigrant who had once washed dishes for $1.20 an hour. And it did not stop with Toyota. General Motors came, Ford came, BMW came, Nissan came. The big three American automakers who had once looked at Flexengate as a minor regional supplier were now lining up to do business. The revenue numbers tell the story with brutal clarity. When Khan took over Flexengate fully in 1980, the company was generating around $17 million in annual sales. By 2010, that number had reached $2 billion. By 2020, it had grown to $8.89 billion. Today, Flexengate operates more than 76 manufacturing plants across the United States, China, Argentina, Spain, France, Germany, Mexico, and Canada. It employs more than 27,000 people. From 17 million to nearly 9 billion. From one operation in Illinois to 76 plants on 5 continents. And all of it built on the back of a better bumper. Part 6, the dream that never left the NFL. Somewhere in the middle of building a manufacturing empire that spanned continents, Shahid Khan never forgot what he had promised himself in that fraternity house. He was going to own an NFL team. In 2010, his first attempt came. The St. Louis Rams were up for sale, and Khan entered negotiations to acquire 60% of the franchise. He made his bid. He was ready. And then, at the last moment, a billionaire minority shareholder named Stan Kroenke exercised a clause in the ownership agreement that gave him the right to match any bid and take priority. Just like that, the deal was gone. A lesser man might have taken that as a sign. A rejection from the most exclusive sports ownership club in the world. A door slammed by a billionaire with better connections and more leverage. Shahid Khan took it as information. He regrouped, he waited, and in 2011 another opportunity appeared. The Jacksonville Jaguars were for sale. The owner, Wayne Weaver, was ready to step away, and this time there was no Stan Kroenke waiting in the wings. On November 29, 2011, Khan agreed to purchase the Jacksonville Jaguars. The final price was hammered out, reportedly on a cocktail napkin in the bar of the Omni Jacksonville Hotel, at $620 million cash, plus assuming $150 million of the team's existing debt. A total deal value of $770 million. To fund the purchase, Khan took out $300 million in loans against Flexingate. He leveraged his own empire to buy his dream. On January 4, 2012, the sale was finalized. The NFL owners voted unanimously to approve it. Shahid Khan, the 16-year-old boy who had arrived in America with $500, who had slept in a $2 room, who had washed dishes for $1.20 an hour, was now the owner of a National Football League franchise. He was the first member of an ethnic minority ever to own an NFL team in the history of the league. And there it was, the moment the fraternity house had laughed at. The smile on his face that day must have been enormous. Part 7, London calling FULHAM FC. But Shahid Khan was not finished. In the summer of 2013, less than 2 years after completing the Jaguars deal, he turned his attention to London. Fulham Football Club, one of England's oldest professional football clubs, was for sale. The seller was the Egyptian billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed. The club played its home games at Craven Cottage, a beautiful, historic stadium sitting on the banks of the River Thames in southwest London. Khan paid an estimated $300 million for the club. And then, 5 years later, in 2018, Fulham earned promotion to the English Premier League, the most watched football league on earth, broadcast to over 180 countries. The moment promotion was confirmed, Khan's investment increased in value by an estimated $125 million overnight, simply because of the Premier League's vastly larger television and advertising deals. One promotion, $125 million, just from being in the right league. He now owned a stake in two of the most prestigious sports leagues on the planet, one on each side of the Atlantic Ocean, an NFL franchise in Florida, a Premier League club in London, and a manufacturing company supplying bumpers to virtually every major car brand on earth. The boy from Lahore had built an empire that spanned 3 continents and 2 sports. Part 8, The Fortune and the Life. Today, Shahid Khan's net worth stands at $13.3 billion. He is ranked among the top 60 wealthiest Americans, the richest automotive parts magnate in the world, and the wealthiest Pakistani-born person on the planet. He owns a 312-foot superyacht named Kismet, valued at $360 million, one of the largest privately owned yachts in the world. He flies in a Bombardier Global 7500 private jet. He owns homes in Chicago and Naples, Florida. And he owns the Four Seasons Hotel in Toronto, purchased for $171 million. The numbers, stacked on top of each other, are almost impossible to comprehend. But perhaps more revealing than the wealth is the man himself. In December 2018, during a home game at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, 65 North Florida residents from 38 different countries gathered on the field at halftime. They were there to take the oath of allegiance, to officially become naturalized American citizens, in front of 65,000 fans, in a stadium he owned. Shahid Khan stood among them and took the oath alongside them. The man who had built one of the greatest American success stories of the modern era had waited until that moment to formally, publicly declare himself a citizen of the country that had given him everything. He did not do it in a courthouse. He did not do it quietly. He did it on the 50-yard line in front of his team, his city, his country. Part 9. What Shahid Khan actually teaches. There is a temptation when hearing a story like this to reduce it to a simple formula. Work hard, dream big, never give up. And while all of those things are true of Shahid Khan, they miss the specific, precise details that actually explain his success. Details that are far more instructive than any motivational poster. The first is this: he saw what others did not. The one-piece bumper was not a complicated invention. The engineering principles behind it were not secret. Dozens of engineers at dozens of automotive companies had access to the same knowledge. But only Shahid Khan looked at the existing bumper design and said, "This is wrong, and I know how to fix it." Observation and the willingness to act on what you observe is rarer than talent. The second is patience combined with aggression. He spent 7 years inside Flexengate learning the business before he left to start his own. He did not rush, but when the moment came, when Flexengate itself went up for sale, he moved immediately. He was not passive, he was strategic. He waited for the right moment, and then he struck without hesitation. The third is that he never confused comfort with success. When his manufacturing business was generating millions of dollars, and he could have lived beautifully and quietly for the rest of his life, he borrowed $300 million against his own company to buy a football team. He was willing to risk what he had built to chase what he still wanted. Most people, once they reach a level of security, stop taking risks. Shahid Khan never stopped. And the fourth, perhaps the most important, is that he never forgot where he came from. The $47 million his foundation has donated to Jacksonville communities since 2012. The naturalization ceremony on the 50-yard line. The way he still talks about that $2 YMCA room, not with embarrassment, but with pride. Because that room is not a footnote in his story. That room is the beginning of it, and he knows it. Closing the FORTUNA sign-off. Shahid Khan arrived in America in 1967 with $500 and a willingness to do whatever it took. 55 years later, he is worth $13.3 billion, owns an NFL franchise, a Premier League football club, and one of the largest automotive manufacturers in the world. The distance between $1.20 an hour and $13 billion is not luck. It is not destiny. It is not even genius in the traditional sense of the word. It is the result of watching carefully, building slowly, moving boldly when the moment demands it, and never, not for a single day, losing sight of what you came here to do. The fortune was always there, waiting. The paper trail just needed someone willing to follow it all the way to the end. This has been Fortuna Files. If this story moved you, if it made you think differently about what is possible, then do one thing right now. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, because next week we open another file, and the story we have waiting for you is one that will make your jaw drop. Every fortune leaves a paper trail. We will see you in the next file.